Hey friends, tough morning. Very tough morning. Now I try to be positive with these usually. But last night I stayed up and watched as electoral vote after electoral vote, state after state, got called for our apparent president-elect, Mr. Trump. And then after they finally made the official call at somewhere around 2, I went to bed, cried a little, not ashamed to say, shut off my phone, and went to sleep. This is a man who has said that it's okay to sexually assault my daughters because he's famous. This is a man who has said that a huge swath of people are criminals and rapists, and that it is the exception among them to be good people. This is a man who has advocated torture, advocated revenge killings, shown disrespect for POWs, recipients of the Purple Heart, and our men and women in uniform across the board on several occasions. And yet now he is the apparent commander-in-chief. So I was a bit disappointed in us. Some of you may know that for a while there I was Gary Johnson's supporter. He did successfully spend the last month talking me out of voting. Sorry about that, I'm back. He did spend the last month talking me out of voting for him, Gary Johnson did, and I voted for Ms. Clinton. I live in Connecticut. Now I'm back again. I'm in Connecticut, so I'm in a safe state anyway. There we go. Sorry if I lost you guys. So anyways, Hi. I'm so annoyed right now. Alright. We're back again. I think our signal's going to be fine. So anyway, as I was saying, Gary Johnson successfully talked me out of voting for him. I did end up voting for Ms. Clinton, as did most of the rest of the country. Much like in the year 2000, the popular vote has, according to current tally that I've seen, with about 98% of precincts reported in, seems to be to Ms. Clinton, not to Mr. Trump. However, the electoral math is very much in his favor, projected. The Electoral College, remember, does not vote until the second Wednesday after the first Monday of December, I believe is what it is, or it's the second Monday after the first Wednesday in December. Something like it's a bit antediluvian, but regardless, it'll be around the second week of December that they vote. Now, if the popular vote does finally go to Ms. Clinton, Mr. Trump has pretty successfully alienated a lot of people in the political establishment, and that is who makes up the Electoral College. They are your senators, your governors, and your political party leaders in your states. And they can vote for anyone they want. Traditionally, they are supposed to vote with their state, in many states, not all states. Some states they are free to vote for whoever they want by tradition as well. But by statute, they can vote for whoever they want. They are there as a check and balance to popular voting. Basically, they're there to say the country actually wants and or needs the other candidate. And so we know better than you and we will decide. That's supposed to be their function. Do I like them? No. Do I like the existence? No. Have I reached a point where I would be perfectly happy to see the political game played and see them do that? Yes, I would. Well, happy's the wrong word. It'd be better for the country. It would reflect the popular vote. It would be a narrow but popular decision on their part. But who knows? What we have to do is move along today with the expectation that result of yesterday is the, in fact, true and final result on Inauguration Day in January. And I say this. He is a vile, unapologetic, unhumble, racist, misogynist, homophobic, vile troll of what I can assume is a human being. His running mate Mike Pence is worse, because instead of just being stupid, he's also evil. And we have no one to blame but ourselves. Because even though it looks like Ms. Clinton did win the popular vote, and even though all of the rhetoric over the next several days is going to be, you third-party idiots cost her the victory, that is a misrepresentation. Here are some fun numbers for you. Voter turnout. There are about 230 odd eligible vote million, 230 odd million eligible voters in the United States. Of those, about half voted. About half. Of those, about half voted for Mr. Trump, and about half voted for Ms. Clinton. So, a quarter of this nation voted for Mr. Trump. A quarter of this nation voted for Ms. Clinton, and half of the eligible voters in this nation didn't vote at all. You apathetic assholes. You did this. You're who I'm angry at. Because the only true path to victory that Mr. Trump had was voter apathy. The more people that voted, the bigger her margin of victory was going to be. The fewer that voted, the more likely his victory was going to be, and that's what we've seen. That's what we've seen in state after state after state. But it's time to move on. Lay blame where it lies. If your friends or family voted for Mr. Trump, they're still... Well, it's up to you how you handle that. It really, really is. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I'm personally able to be friends with someone who supports someone who thinks it's okay that my daughters be sexually assaulted so long as it's by a celebrity. Because if you support the man, you support the policy. You support the statement. Now, I supported Ms. Clinton, and I don't want to support all of her policies, but you know what? I voted for her, so now if she won, I'm partially responsible. Well, now you're partially responsible. So I'm going to be watching very, very closely to see where all of you land. But it's time to move on. It is time to move on. And here's what I say. We've watched for the last 8 years as the Republicans controlling Congress, which they still do, although they did lose a little bit of their lead in both the House and the Senate. They still control them. Use every machination they can think of to obstruct the process of running this government. You know, it would be super easy? Super easy for the Democrats to do the same thing now. And I kind of want them to, because I kind of want that vindictiveness. I want Donnie Jingles to sit there as a lame duck first-term president and get 0 things done. I don't want him impeached and removed, because then we get that evil prick, Mike Pence. But I don't want the Democrats to do that. It's bad politics. And I'll tell you why. Because this is an opportunity to prove that the Democrats and the progressiveness in this country have learned their lesson, have stopped being the losers. Because that's what we are, and that's what we have been. Even with President Obama in office, doing his best to be a statesman, to be a president of which we should all have been proud and should all be proud, we watched our Democratic leaders lose and lose and lose and compromise and fail and lose and lose and lose and lose and lose. It's time for a new strategy, kids. It's time to get the fight back onto your ground. Because now we're the underdogs. Now we really are the underdogs. Mr. Trump doesn't get to talk about the Washington elite anymore, because he is one of them. He doesn't get to talk about how those big bad liberals keep pushing down the conservative agenda because they control all 3 branches of government. Or they will as soon as they nominate their Supreme Court nominee and push him through. So I say, here in Connecticut, where we voted blue for Senate, where we voted blue for our state houses, where we voted blue for Ms. Clinton, I say to my state representatives and my senators and everybody else, change your strategy. Don't use the Republican strategy. It's time for a new strategy, and allow me to outline it for you, since you losers haven't been able to come up with anything in 15 years that's even remotely viable. Not since Mr. Clinton left office have you been able to come up with jack and or shit that has been politically viable. So allow me to help. Raise the level of discourse. Show me outraged rhetoric. You don't know how to do that? Talk to Elizabeth Warren. Talk to Bernie Sanders. I want to see the level of discourse raised by the undercard, by the underdog, by the ones who have proven over and over again that they do one thing better than anything else, and that's lose. It's time to start winning. It's time to start winning the moral game. It's time to start winning the ethical game. We have the moral high ground. We have the ethical high ground. We care about our fellow citizens, not just the ones that look like us and fuck like us and want to be us. Listen, I'm a white guy. I live in Connecticut. I pass for straight. I have all the power, and I'm right in the middle of Trump's desired demographic. Be 37 next week. Believe me, I'm the guy he wanted to get, and the guy he largely did get. But instead, I'm going to use the power that I was born with, and I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to raise the level of discourse. And I expect my elected representatives to do the same. I voted for you. In Connecticut, everybody I voted for won. So, now I expect you to work for me. And what I say is very, very simple. Raise the level of discourse. Every time this bigot, this racist, this misogynist, this advocate for sexual assault speaks up, you don't shout him down. You get coldly and quietly and calculatingly angry, and you speak. You hire better speechwriters. You learn how to speak in public, and you speak out. You take your pulpit and you use it. And you use your votes. And you shame them not with ad hominem attacks, personal attacks, not with straw man arguments, but with true, logical, clear rhetoric and discourse. You teach them how they're bad people by being better people. The majority of people in this country are not hate-filled, miserable. The majority of people in this country are good people. Still believe that. They may be uneducated largely, some of them. Some others of them. But that doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they've been tricked. Bamboozled. Hoodwinked even. Why? We didn't land on Donald Trump. Donald Trump landed on us. And we're going to have very likely 4 years of trying to push him off. And in that 4 years, he's going to try and do some heinous shit. He's going to try and completely take away the Affordable Care Act, which is not a perfect act, but was designed to help people. He's going to try his best to make it easier for people like the man who shot up a bunch of children in Newtown to get some guns. He's going to try his best to make sure that all of his rich friends, and himself mostly, get even more of the pie. He's going to do it. Of course, he lost a pretty big piece of the pie in the stock market last night. And that, my friends, is how I'm gloating right now. Sorry. I love it. I love that these rich motherfuckers are losing their money hand over fist in the stock market. So here's my thing. Raise the level of discourse. I mean all of us. Today is a day for anger, for dismay, for fear. And I know you're scared. My daughters came home from school on Monday and essentially begged Daniel, Vanessa, and myself to vote for Ms. Clinton because they have friends in school who are afraid they're going to have to move out of the country now. And we had to talk to them this morning and tell them that they don't have to be afraid. That their friends are not going to be forced out of the country. that nothing bad is going to happen. And by Grab Thor's hammer, I think it was Grab Thor, I don't remember, whatever it was, I'm going to make sure I didn't lie to him. So Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, everyone, Themis Claridis, Richard Blumenthal, I expect to hear your voices. I expect to hear you speaking out loud. I expect to hear you speaking the progressive ideals that we all have and we want you to have. I expect you to be loud. Today is the day for rage. Today is the day for frustration, and tomorrow is the day for revolution. And it'll be a revolution of words. It'll be a revolution of statesmanship. It will be a revolution of the moral and ethical authority. It is time to get the God out of government. It is time to get these antiquarian ignoramuses out of government. It is time to bring ethics and caring and honesty and politics and statesmanship back into government. And we're going to do that on the high road. We're speaking, people. Open your mouths. And if you see somebody today who's afraid, who's angry, who's almost inarticulately livid, offer him a hug. Don't just grab him. That's what our president-elect would do. But offer him a hug. And tell him it's going to be okay. And tell him you're going to speak. And if you see a gloater, you're going to want to, I'm going to want to, but don't. And I'm going to try not to as well. Because that's not how we win. That's how we keep playing their game. That is how we lost. That is why we're losers today. But not tomorrow. And that's what I have to say today here on the Morning Zoo with Ken and the Bear. It's morning drive time, talk time. And I wish you all a good day. No matter who you voted for. I care about you. And you can't shut me up. I think some of you know. Every moment is about tomorrow now. We don't look backwards. We look forward. And out in front of us is the win. If we do it just right. If you thought I said something worthwhile, share this. Share it specifically to your representatives in Congress and the Senate. Post your own version if you agree with what I said. Because it is time. It is past time to start remembering how to win. Start remembering what it was that the great Democrats did. The great statesmen did. It's not about Republican and Democrat, it's about progressive. It's about moving forward. Conservatives fought against the repeal of slavery. Conservatives fought for segregation. Conservatives fought against the American Revolution. Progressives fought for those things. So I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you better be a progressive. Because conservatism is dead. And I'll happily stick the stake in its heart. Because I respect people. I do. I do not respect your ideas. Your ideas are filth. Your ideas are garbage. Your ideas are hate-filled brutality on people that I do care about. On me, personally. Progressives are Americans. Conservatives are Trumps. So if you agree with me, repost. Share it, please. Post your own version, please. Do it in your own words. Make sure your representatives see it, because they are the ones who shall be held accountable now. They are the ones responsible for raising the level of discourse, and I expect them to. But you're not culpable here. I expect you to raise it too. Today is the day for anger, and tomorrow is the day for movement, for action. So let's move. I hope you move with me. Have a great day, my friends.